Good evening and welcome to my channel Centuries Untold. My name is Wahid Qureshi. Viewers, today's video is going to be another interesting and informative video. This is a topic that I was thinking for some time to make a short informative video for my viewers. So let's go ahead, without wasting a time, let's go ahead and start this new video. The topic today is the Mongol Empire slash Genghis Khan. Okay, so most of you have heard about the Mongol Empire, and also you have heard about the famous world conqueror Genghis Khan. Okay, so who were the Mongols? What was their origin? And how these Mongol tribes, they were tribes basically, became so powerful under their leader Genghis Khan and his descendants later on, obviously. So I'm going to go over a quick, brief history of the Mongol people and their empire. Okay. So viewers, I have to take you back about, I would say, roughly early part of the 20th century. 12th century. That is early part of 1100s. Okay. Before I start giving you more details on the Genghis Khan, I want you to go back with me during that early period of 12th century. Okay, there was this guy named Kabul Khan, actually Kabuhal, Kabul Khan. Okay, and who was this guy Kabul Khan? Okay, so this guy was interestingly the great grandfather of Genghis Khan. Okay, most of you have probably never heard this guy named Kabul Khan. Okay, because he is a famous guy, probably I would say in Mongolia proper, right? But outside Mongolia, most people, I can guarantee you, have not heard this name, Kabul Khan. Okay, you can search yourself. Okay, so who was this guy Kabul Khan? Okay. Now, Kabul Khan was born around 1085, 1090 AD, okay? Roughly about, I would say, 75 years before Genghis Khan's birth, okay? Now, what happened, this guy Kabul Khan was a chief of the loose Mongol confederation of the tribes. You know, the confederation means really the combination of 3 or 4 tribes get together and they become a confederation. So he was the chief of that, and he was fighting with the Chinese dynasties at that time, okay, and also some other fellow Mongol tribes outside the confederation. So he actually was the guy, Kabul Khan, who actually had this vision of basically uniting all those Mongol tribes, okay. So this was not a this was not a new idea. This was not a novel idea for Genghis Khan to come up with this great idea to unite his people, unite Mongolia, unite the Mongol Empire. Actually, this was already visioned by his great grandfather. Okay, the name I just told you, Kabul Khan. Okay, so unfortunately, for Kabul Khan, that dream did not become a reality, just enough to unite few tribes, and that's why it's called Mongol Confederate. You can see the map behind me, the Mongol Confederation at that point. Okay, now let's move forward. Okay, so this guy Kabul Khan, after as per tribal society, as per Mongol tradition, his son became his successor, and eventually his son became his successor. Now, his grandson, who eventually took over this confederation, okay, his name was Jesoggai. Okay, no, Jesoggai was the father of Genghis Khan. Okay, so now let's focus a little bit on the Mongols itself. Okay, So viewers, as you can see in the map behind me, the Mongols are, which is today in modern state of Mongolia, which is called, and which their capital is Ulaanbaatar, right? So Mongolia, the current modern state of Mongolia, their capital is Ulaanbaatar. Now, Ulaanbaatar, some historians say, is the same place as Karaltai. Karaltai was the capital of Mongols Empire at that time. Okay, it's the same place. Some historians say. So back to 12th century. Okay, so 12th century, this Mongolian confederacy under Kabul Khan, and then his son and his grandson Yasugai, who was the father of Genghis Khan, they were trying to expand. Basically, they were trying to expand south, as you can see in the map behind me, toward China, and toward East China, like which is today is called Manchuria, basically Eastern China today. Okay, not toward westward, which is Central Asia states. They didn't get a chance to get there. Genghis Khan will eventually go there, but not his father, not his grandfather, not his great grandfather. Okay, the time had not come yet. Okay, so what happened? These Mongolians people. Let me talk about a little bit about their belief system, what they believed. Okay, so in 12th century Mongolia, their belief system was called shamanism, which is because they believe in blue sky. They believed in what they call it, the spirits a lot. Whose spirits? The spirits of their ancestors. Okay, they believe that. So they will also worship, not really fire. They were not Zoroastrians in that sense, like Iranians were before Islam, but they also consider fire, and they, basically consider fire kind of semi-sacred. Why? Not directly, they were not worshipping fire, but through fire, they were trying to reach their spirits of their forefathers. That's how they were using the fire at that time. And shaman, because of shamanism, and so shaman was like eventually over the time period, shaman actually became a title. Like in Christianity, you have the father in the church, right? Priest in the church. In Islamic world, you have imams. Like Hindus have pandits. Jews have rabbis, right? So similarly, same level, the title shaman became identified as a official highest priest within the Mongols, shaman. So like I said, they believe blue sky. They actually have a very specific name for that in Mongolian language. Okay, they believed in the spirits of their ancestors. So they have just like a typical, what you call it, pre-Islamic, pre-Christian in Europe beliefs, what we call pagan beliefs, basically pagan beliefs. Okay, so there's some religious background in there. Okay, so that they were superstitious people too at the same time. Most people in the world are superstitious, regardless of they're Muslims or Christians or Hindus or Jews. There are some superstitions in every society. Okay, so Mongols are Mongolian people, that there were no exceptions. Okay, all right. So what about their lifestyle? Quickly. So their lives, they were nomadic people, right? They will live their life. They will born in a camp. Okay. They use a specific tent, like a round-shaped tent. I will give you the name of the tent too. It's a specific tent. It's called. Okay. They will born there, but they will spend the rest of their life on a horse, fighting each other, and sometimes they will fight like for years, for decades. For they will, their caravans, trade routes were not safe. Basically, from China all the way to Persia, Western Asia, also known as Middle East, right? And all the way to Constantinople, which is today's Istanbul, right? So all those routes were not safe within Central Asia, that side, because they will attack those trade caravans. I will come back to that when I get to Genghis Khan. Okay. So anyway, so that was their way of life. You know, like people have jobs, businesses. This was their business, basically, to loot and plunder, attack other tribes, and they live their life like this. They would drink heavily. You know, it is said about Mongols that they could live on horseback for weeks. You know how? If they run out of water, they will simply make a hole in their horse somewhere and they suck the blood. They will survive. So they were very tough. So and also on that level, they were also very good. Guess what? They were also very good archers. They used a small bow, not a huge bow. Because you know why? Because they will be sitting on a horse, riding their horse, and while they're riding their horse, they will also take the arrow and while they shot the arrow to their enemies while the horse is running. So they could not use the long bow because it's too heavy to control the horse and use the bow, right? So they had to use their both hands for like few seconds. So they created a small bow. You know, like in 15th century, right? In Europe, in England, they had this long bow. There was a famous battle too, right? Battle of Agnicourt. That was fought in 15th century, about sometime during the 1400. I think it was English King Henry who fought against the French, right? The Battle of Agnicourt. He used English long bows because they used long bows because they were on the ground. But think about Mongols. If you're on a horseback and your horse is running full speed and you have to face your enemy, you don't have a gun at that time, right? So the only thing you could rely is either get close to your enemy, right, and take your sword out and then fight with the sword, right? But that means you have to do a close combat. To attack your enemy from a distance, they had to rely on their archers, bow, and they invented this small bow. And eventually, over the time, they become so perfect in it. So they could use the wind and see which way the wind is going, and their opponent, and they watch their horse and the wind, and they will throw the arrow with the speed, and you will not believe that it will hit the other person from a distance. So they were that good, and that technique really helped Mongol later on under Genghis Khan when they were fighting all four fronts. Okay, so I'm just giving you some background how these Mongols were, some kind of qualities they had. So we have read a lot of books, especially in the Islamic world and in the European historical context, that they were totally barbarians. They butchered people, blah blah blah. They shed blood. They were really menace to the world. Yes, that's true. They were menace to the world. Yes, that's true. They were really in the battle. They were really ruthless, right? To scare their enemies, they will kill wholesale, right? No problem. But on the other hand, the trade-off, and I will talk about that in a few minutes, that when there was a trade-off, okay? So I will come back to that in a second. Anyway, so I just want to give you guys, my viewers, a background perspective, what we call, about the Mongols at that time in the 12th century. What were their belief system? How were they raised actually? And how were they? How excellent they were horse riders. Okay. One other thing I will tell you: there was a loyalty to the chief. There was a loyalty to the tribe. There was no question about it. Okay. You could not switch. If you're born to one tribe, you would stay with that tribe. The only way for you to move to other tribe at that time, switch to other tribe, not a switch, move to other tribe, through matrimonial. If you marry some other tribe's girl or a boy or a man, that's the only way possible. Now you're still not switching. Now he's become your ally, friend, tribe. So that's fine. But you cannot just switch to the enemy tribe. Okay, that was unacceptable. And if somebody did that time, there was a very horrified death waiting for this person if that person was caught. So there was some ethics, some rules they also used. They were not without ethics. It's not like that. They just have no rules. They had rules. So what we are told, there are some truth to it, but not entire true fact. Okay. Anyway, so that's quickly some of the background. Now let's move forward. Historical perspective. So Yasugai, who was Genghis Khan's father, was the chief of the tribe. Okay, and he was born. He was born around, I would say, 1130 AD, I think, around that time. Okay, Yasugai. Now, Yasugai was, who was Yasugai? Yasugai was, like I said, he was the father of the Genghis Khan. Okay, now Yasugai was a very brave chief of his tribe. Context. So Yasugai, Genghis Khan was 9 years old when Yasugai died. Now, his death is also very kind of tragedy. And he did not die, he did not fall from horse. He did not die in a battle. He did not die, fighting his enemies. No. What happened, he was on his way back to his tribe. Just imagine that he's riding back on horse, alone. This is kind of unprecedented that time. He was riding alone, and in the evening, he saw a wedding feast going on, some small tribe somewhere. And they were Tatars, who were kind of enemy at that time to Mongols. So he decided to stop and eat their wedding as a guest. And this was a tradition in Mongolia. This is another tradition, by the way, in Mongolia. If you have a guest, you will honor this guest. That's it. It's a similar pattern as pre-Islamic Arabs in Makkah, in Hijaz. Arabs were also very hospitable at that time. If a guest will come, they will slaughter their camel, they will slaughter anything to present their guest. So it's that similar pattern Mongol had. So he goes there because he thought, or at least he knew, that they would not recognize him, the Tatars. So he goes there and stop at the wedding. And then he said, okay, I was passing by, I saw the wedding, can I join? I'm hungry, blah, 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 right? So they said, yeah, sure, sit. And they gave him food, blah. But unfortunately, one of the guy in there, he recognized him. That's Yasugai, who had killed Tatar people like 10 years ago. Okay? So guess what they did? They didn't arrest him. They didn't execute him on the spot because he was their guest. So what they did, they served him the food and they put some poison in it. So the poison did not kill him right away. So he ate the food, he was feeling fine that time. The poison will take time. So that will give him enough time to get home. So he goes back, he rides back to his horse, goes back to his tribe, and then the next day he started feeling bad because poison was taking, its effect. So after 3 days he dies. But before he died, he knew what happened. So he told his son, who was 9 years old, to go. So let me give you another thing before that. So because his son was, Genghis was 9 years old, so that time they used to make tribal alliance. So he had a friend from other tribe. That other tribe's chief had a daughter, Bortai. Her name was Bortai. So Bortai was only like 8 years old that time. So it was a tradition. They will, what we call in today's like engagement. Okay, so they had engagement, like betrothed with her. She was betrothed to him, Bortai, to Genghis Khan. Okay. So he told his wife, meaning Genghis Khan's mother, and his son to go to that tribe, his future in-laws tribe. Okay? Because he dies. Yasugai dies. You can imagine that, right? He dies to 1171. So I just want to give you guys a perspective in the world, what was going on in the world in 1171. So you guys make a connection. So it's not an isolation in Mongolia, right? So in 1171, viewers, there were crusades going on in Western Asia, which is also known as Middle East. Salahuddin Ayyubi, Saladin, which is called Saladin, right, was fighting European crusades that time in 1171. Okay, same time period. Okay, and in Europe, in England, we already know that Norman invasion took place in 1066. So England was under Norman rule that time. I believe Henry II was the king in 1171. This Henry II, by the way, is the father of Richard the Lionheart, King Richard the Lionheart, who later on came to Palestine and fought with Saladin in 1187. Okay, so that was happening in the other part of the world that time when Jesugai died in 1171 in Mongolia, in Karatai. Okay, and in Afghanistan and current Pakistan and India, the current states, there was still the Delhi Sultanate has not established yet. It will take another 22 years before they establish the Delhi Sultanate in Delhi by Muslims, Islamic Empire. Because the battle took place in 1192, the second battle of Trabri between Prithviraj Chauhan and Shahabuddin Ghori. So it is still 20 years before this thing. So that gives you now perspective, right? Okay. So Genghis Khan runs toward that, but problem was his own tribe betrayed him. The elders of his tribe, they betrayed Genghis Khan. Now, viewers, I'm going to stop here. I'm going to stop using the word Genghis Khan. Why? I'm going to tell you a second. So Genghis Khan was not his name. Okay. Genghis Khan's birth name was Temujin. So he was known as Temujin. So so you would ask this question, so how come he's called Genghis Khan? Right? If his name, yes, I will tell you in a second why. So a little bit on this Temujin, right? This Genghis Khan. So he was born in 1167, or some say 1162, in that time period. Okay. So he was given the name Temujin by his family. Okay. So I'm going to start using this word now, Temujin, until I get to the point where I will change back to Genghis Khan. Okay. So remember, Temujin equal to Genghis Khan. Okay. So Temujin did not find his tribe's elders to be on his side. So he had to escape. Remember, imagine that 9-year-old boy is running away for his life with his mother and his brother. Okay? So you can imagine the situation. Viewers, I will also like to make a comparison here quickly for those who knows the origin of Mughal Empire in India, right? Remember, the founder of Mughal Empire was Babur, in some people call it Babur or Babur, right? When his father died in 1493, Umar Sheikh Mirza, when he died, Babur was also 10 years old, 11, some say 11, some say 12. So same age group. So he also had to run away to save his neck. And imagine that in today's world, can we imagine a 10 years old boy is running for his life with his family, not knowing what to do? So that was a tough time that time. Okay. So anyway, so Temujin now goes to, his future in-law's side, and there he takes shelter. So it is a long story how he come back. So because, I like to limit my video to no more than 40-45 minutes. So I'm going to limit that. But there's a whole background, what happened when he gets there. what kind of hardship he had. He still had to face hardships. Life was not easy for him, obviously. So eventually time passes. He is unable to claim his position as a chief, as a successor to his dad, to his father, right? It took some time. So few years passed. Now he's a grown-up man. Now we also remember when we say grow-up man, that means probably 18 years old, 20 years old. That time was different then. Okay. So now he is a young man, and his fiancee, what we call his future wife, Borte, was also, about the same age group. Okay. So now think about this. Okay. So now he feels like, so he had secured enough support at that time from his own tribe. At that, his elders of his tribe realized that, he is somebody. He's not just an ordinary person. So they started to come back to him. Like few friends came back to him that we support you from his own tribe. So that's how it started, slowly. And he started to get command of his people, of his tribe, eventually. And he also, later on, when he took control of his own tribe, he punished some of those peoples later on. Okay, but that's a separate story. So here's the interesting twist. So now he's secured enough on his tribe as a chief of tribe, 20 years old, 21 years old. His wife, Borte, was. Now, here's a twist and the fate for him. So his wedding day comes. Temujin's wedding day comes. Okay. And right after the wedding feast was done, guests were still there. Guess what happens? A tribe who was opposed to his father, Yasugai, who was opposed to his own tribe, they attack. Knowingly that today is Temujin's wedding. Guests will be busy eating, drinking, all those things. So they took this opportunity. Okay? And they attacked. So Temujin, unfortunately, at that time was not prepared for this attack because he was not expecting it, right? He was not expecting it. That was his wedding day, right? So just imagine a wedding hall, a wedding, venue. Guests are sitting, bride is sitting, groom is sitting, and all of a sudden, those tribes people, they attacked. Now, that time there was no inside hall, a marriage room, like auditorium. They were open, tents, all open. They were sitting open and they were just having fun, dancing, drinking, obviously, and, meat. They like meat, to eat meat. The other tribe attacks and they were not prepared. So they start to fight. But in the fight, unfortunately, they kidnap his bride. They were able to take her with them. So Temujin obviously take the horse, and with his friends he followed them, but they were able to take her. So now he's lost his wife. So you can imagine that, right? Anyway, so so he was not able to bring her back for a few months. Actually, few months passed. Eventually, he was able to attack and bring her back. Eventually. So anyway, so that's just a side note. Okay. Now, so viewers, this way Temujin now becomes a more powerful. Why? Because he had the capabilities. He had leadership qualities. He did not behave recklessly. He used his wisdom to that. He stood the time. And he was fair when he was dealing with the people. He had this gift, what we call who to forgive and who not to forgive. Not many people have that gift. Also the gift that he had to recognize the talent in the people. Not many people, I can guarantee you, not many people had this gift. You would have people standing in front of you. You know some of these people for many months, years, but you're still unable to recognize their talent. Zero. But he was not like that. There are some of the great leaders in the world had this gift, common gift. They were able to recognize a talent, and they will pick this person. An average person, you can have a talented person, put this in front of this person for years, he will not recognize. So that's not a great leader. Okay, so those were the qualities for Temujin. Anyway, so moving forward, this way, viewers, this was the start of Temujin, and now he was able to unite not only his tribe. Now, you have seen this normally what happens when you are able to successfully repel some of your enemies. Now people started to recognize you as a leader. And then you are also, other tribes started to join him soon. Because in him they saw some qualities, like the qualities I just mentioned to you. Okay? Now he was like a force to be reckoned with. He had multiple tribes join him. So his tribe was not only tribe. Now he has multiple tribes. Just like his great grandfather Kabul Khan, who was able to unite a first confederation of Mongolia that time under his great grandfather Kabul Khan. Now he is his descendant Temujin was able to do same, unite all those tribes, and do much more, which we'll do I will tell you in a second. Okay, so now he had united the Mongol tribes on a similar pattern as his great grandfather. So you know what happens when you are okay controlling, satisfying internally your country. Now you're going to look outside. That time. So that's what he did. Expansion. So then he started to expand. Southward, that was his first challenges after he united all the tribes in Mongolia. Southward, and then toward eastern side of China. And eventually he will clash with the Muslim states of Central Asia. Eventually, very soon. Because that was going to happen. It was inevitable for a person like Temujin to just basically content with only Mongolia, right? He would expand. Because it was inevitable for Temujin to expand all directions, which he did. So by the time about 1206 AD, he was powerful enough so to announce himself as a great Khan. Okay, so Karatarai was their kind of, what's called it, their parliament. In English, in their parliament. This was their gathering place to select a great Khan. Okay, it started with him in 1206 AD. Okay, so in 1206 there was a huge gathering of all the Mongolian tribes, all the chiefs, their warriors, all got together in Karatarai. Okay, and in that huge, great gathering outside, was not inside the building, it was outside, open field, grassy, plain fields. They put a big kind of, they erected a stage, and he stood over there with the highest priest, the shaman. Okay, and there they declared him. Can you guess? They declared him Genghis Khan. This is first time this title was given to him, the Genghis Khan, a great warrior. Okay, before that he was named as Temujin. So 1206 AD he was given the title Genghis Khan. So onward, now in history onward, he was known as Genghis Khan, not Temujin. Okay, so now I'm going to use the word Genghis Khan after now. So now Genghis Khan had, basically control of all this. Now he started to expand. Now at that time, viewers, Genghis Khan had four sons from both sides. Okay, first one was Jochi, second one was Chaktai, the third was Gyuk, sorry, Ogdai, not Gyuk, Ogdai. The fourth was Tulai, four sons, and so he had a few daughters too. Okay, and all those four sons will play a role eventually after their father's death. They will control certain areas of the empire, and from their descendants will continue to rule some areas. I will tell you in a second. Okay, so quickly. So now Genghis Khan's attention turned toward China. He defeated the Chinese Empire's army, and he took control of Chinese some part of the China and eastern China. Right. So while he was doing that in 1219, okay, around 1219, this one incident happens that changed the history of Central Asia. How the viewers, if you look at the map behind me, you will see the China, the Mongolian territories, and they were kind of touching the border with Central Asia now, Mongolian side. So on the Central Asian side, there was this not a huge empire, but a kingdom. It's called Khwarizm Shah kingdom, which is an Islamic Muslim kingdom. So unfortunate event happens. There was a trade route, like I told you, the Silk Road, right? The Silk Road was going through Mongolian territory. It was going through the Khwarizm Shah area all the way to Persia, Middle East, onward to Constantinople, right? So while Mongol traders were passing through the Khwarizm Shah area territory, they were the governor over there, the border town area. The governor over there, he stopped them, those Mongol traders, and he said, "What you have?" They were carrying a lot of trade stuff, right? So not only he took he took possession of that, their trade stuff, commodities, but he also killed them. So this was a bad thing. Okay, first of all, you stopped a trader's, a route. It was a trade route open for everybody. Nobody will stop them because every territory they will enter, they have protection because it's not a military thing. It's a traders, like business people going. So he stopped them. He confiscated their valuable stuff, and not only that, but he killed them too. How stupid he could be. Now, the Sultan that time, he was the father of Jalaluddin Khwarizm Shah, okay? Alauddin Khwarizm Shah, right? So Alauddin was not aware of that, obviously. But then what happens? This is another stupid thing that he did. So when Genghis Khan finds out that his Mongolian trade caravan was not stopped, but they were butchered like this. So he sent an emissary to Alauddin Khwarizm Shah's court demanding justice. He said that you need to hand over that governor to us so we can punish him. Viewers, what happened? Which is another sad twist of the event. Alauddin Khwarizm Shah, instead of dealing this situation diplomatically, tactfully, he killed Genghis Khan's ambassador. Can you believe that? How stupid he was, this guy. He killed the ambassador. Okay. So viewers, so this was a big deal. So when Genghis Khan found out that not only his demand was rejected, a justified demand, I would say, but not only that, but his ambassador was also killed for no reason. That is an act of war. Even in today, in modern world, if some country's ambassador is killed for no reason by the government, and is proof that the government killed him, that's an act of war. Okay? No country will tolerate that. So think about a 12th century and Genghis Khan. So he said, okay, now I'm going to take care of this guy. So the The rest is history. We know that what happened. So he attacks. So basically, this guy, Alauddin Khazem Shah, he invited Genghis Khan's wrath into Central Asia. Basically, Central Asia was open now. So Mongols very soon ran over his territory. He was done. He died, and then his son Jalaluddin Khazem Shah, basically, he continued the fight, but to no avail, no use. He was just running away from one place to other place to other place. Eventually, he ended up in India. Okay, so now Genghis Khan and Mongol forces were basically occupying part of Central Asia, and now they did not stop there. They continued to move westward, western side, which is basically Central Asian side, right? So now they occupy what we know today, like Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, all those stans. And they destroyed them. The great Islamic centers like Tashkent, Bukhara, Samarkand, Kashgar were destroyed. Centuries of religious science, theology, astronomy work was destroyed by Mongols. Not to mention the whole population was slaughtered. Because there was one guy who made this mistake. Okay. So the Mongols did not stop there. Now they controlled pretty much all Central Asia, right? At that time, viewers, Genghis Khan dies. 1227, he dies, 1227. Okay. Now, at that time, he was also preparing an invasion for China. Not preparing, actually, he was attacking China. So in 1227, viewers, Genghis Khan dies. At the time of his death, the Mongol Empire that he did create was vast, huge. It covered present-day Mongolia, many parts of China, complete Central Asia states. And you can just imagine that. Look at the map behind me. Huge. And then he dies. Viewers, I believe my video, I need to continue this video, viewers. So I think I'm going to stop here because it is almost 50 minutes long video. I'm going to make a second video with part 2. Okay, I'm going to continue this history of Mongols after the death of Genghis Khan, that is a very, very important part of the Mongol Empire. What happens after Genghis Khan's death? How the Mongol Empire continued to expand westward. Very important topic. Okay, so please watch out for part 2 of the Mongol Empire history. Okay, I'm going to record that video very soon. Okay, and in that second part, I will also briefly talk about the reforms that Genghis Khan created, the administrative, civil, administration that he created within his empire. Because that's also important to know. So I hope viewers, you have liked my video. I hope it has given you some more insight to the Mongol Empire. But like I said, please watch my part 2. I'm going to continue that. The part 2 has a great information, the expansion of Mongol Empire after Genghis Khan. Thank you very much for watching my video, and good night, and see you soon with my next video. Thank you.